Welcome back. I haven't been super active on building lately, and one of the reasons was I wanted somebody to look at the inside of my skins before I closed them up with the bottom skins on the wings. And I organized a meet with Bob DeMeo from Chapter 106, the EAA Chapter up here in Lawrence that I'm a member of, and he was kind enough to come over, even with the pandemic, and spent probably a good 2+ hours with me, some of it just chatting about airplanes, but most of it going over any potential newbie mistakes. And I started the camera rolling just shortly after we started talking, but as you can see in the beginning, he pointed out the first thing was that there's too many sharp edges that could be stress risers in the future, which is a concern for aluminum to be more likely to crack. But he also mentioned that this might not happen for 40 years. So my thought is it'll be someone else's problem. Kidding aside, I am going to go over and dull all of the edges that I have access to, and moving forward, we'll go over that. And other than that, I think I passed. But here is basically a clip of, or the majority of our conversation that night. I captured as much of the interesting stuff as possible. All right, so I was just pointed out.
At least you have rounded corners. You don't want to have any corner that's like that.
Okay.
You always want to.
Yeah, I actually did this. They tell you to cut it.
Yeah.
And I kind of just. Yeah. It makes this part very weak until you rivet it. Yeah. And I didn't see the sense to cut it. Yeah. This was a little more work, but I thought it looked better.
No, it looks fine.
Yeah.
The question is, will this rub up against it when you've got all your controls in? And you can check that. You've got your controls. As long as it stays in the center, you're fine.
No, it does not. I did have the aileron on and to check clearance for the gap seal, and I kind of just put it where it's supposed to be, and it doesn't look like it hits anything. Yeah. And the sleeve is just on there to keep the powder coating from scratching as it's rubbed in there. So Bob had just pointed out that I should, or standard practice is on any skin, to run some emery cloth over it to take the sharp edges out of it. Yep, and even the hinge arms, all these little machining marks could be stress risers that could create cracks in the future. So I'm a little bit far along to take everything apart and do that.
Yeah, you really are.
What I'm going to do is what I have accessible is run a 3M like a Scotch-Brite pad along the edge, and I guess it'll mitigate any kind of stress stress risers, they call them.
Stress risers.
Yep. So
as you go forward,
that's very good information. Newbie mistake. So
yeah, I like to catch people early in their build.
Yep.
And give them basic techniques and practices.
Yep.
That are used in the industry. That will.
Yeah, no, it's very helpful. Yeah. Yeah, I did reach out earlier on, and then I didn't. What was the other gentleman's name? Will or something?
Will Thorne.
Could be. And he kind of looked at the videos that I sent him the link to, the YouTube videos, and he said, "Yeah, no, it looks great," but then I kind of maybe expected somebody to come by, and then I reached out again because I remember meeting you at one of the AA meetings, and I just didn't want to go beyond this point without having somebody. Last thing I want to do is drill out 500 rivets because I made a silly mistake.
Absolutely. The advantage is 6061 is pretty tough stuff.
Yeah.
Compared to 2024.
Okay.
And
this is 6061.
This is 6061, yeah, and it's pretty tough stuff. It also doesn't corrode very easily.
Yes,
which is a nice.
From the research I've done, there's a lot of people that are priming stuff, and then there's people that say not necessary.
Yeah.
We did not prime except on the fuselage where it meets the steel cage, or where RANS recommends it. So.
Yep.
Talking to some people,
would probably recommend it where you got dissimilar metals touching
exactly
the aluminum.
Yeah,
especially surprisingly enough, stainless steel will corrode aluminum.
So that brings me up to, this gets riveted to the spar with stainless steel rivets. It doesn't call for any priming anywhere in the manual.
Yeah.
I did the top part already. Some protrude that I got to shave down, but is that an issue?
Yeah, that's because the body broke. It broke high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At first, I thought that was a big issue, and
No, as long as they don't get pushed out.
No.
As long as you can't
Yeah, I
push
just
them
go over them once I flip the wing over, and I'll grind them down. But I've heard about wet riveting, dipping them in primer and sticking them in. Some people are priming the whole thing, and then somebody else I met last weekend suggested this stuff, which is a marine-based anti-corrosion thing. He said put that on the rivet and then stick it in.
You could do that, or you can use a good primer. You only need a very, very thin, a micron level.
So I bought this stuff, the self-etching SEM primer.
Yeah.
For when I get to that point, would that be sufficient?
That probably is.
Okay.
Let's see, corrosion steel, aluminum. Yeah, that's probably good enough. And you don't have to put it on thick.
Okay.
You're putting it on micron size, and then putting the stainless steel on.
Okay.
Putting the stainless steel rivets in, and that's the one thing that you'll get with aluminum. If you look at the map around corrosiveness, and you'll find aluminum at one end, stainless is about halfway up.
Okay.
So it's not totally bad.
Yeah.
But it is there.
Just those two metals together.
Yeah.
Now, what about the two top skins that I already did?
Well, it's kind late for that now.
Yeah.
Nothing you're going to be able to do about it.
Okay. But it's not like
again
non-airworthy issue.
It's 6061, which is pretty tough stuff compared to 2024.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's kind of how RANS presented it.
Yeah.
So
It's an interesting construction, because
the dual spar.
there's no full through spar. This is the big stress point right here.
Exactly. So it's easier to see on the other one over there that's open.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of cool in a way that it allows you to put the fuel tanks in the last rib section, so your CG is relatively unaffected by the amount of fuel that you have. It also has just one strut going down, which makes for a really clean and also aerodynamic look. Again, not an expert, but some of the things that I saw on this plane made a lot of sense to me.
What's the normal speed on this airplane?
About 150 miles an hour.
150 miles an
Yeah.
hour. And what's the never exceed speed, you know?
I don't off the top of my head. Let's see here. BNE 215.
250. Yeah, that's pretty good.
So that's what the road tax. So 215 would be.
And you got the Titan.
We're doing
Same
the Titan 340.
Yeah,
215.
change.
Yeah.
It shouldn't change.
Yeah. So 120 versus 155. Yeah. Cruising. Yeah, this is the low and slow plane, but it actually flies faster than the Archer.
It's got a steel center section, and then it's stressed.
The back
skin on the back.
Is that what you call it? There's no steel tubing in here.
Right.
It's basically longerons and ribs and just skin.
That's stressed.
Yeah.
That's stressed skin.
Stress. Okay. Yep. Yeah.
For instance, a Mooney's built like that.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They have steel in the center section.
Yeah.
And then stressed skin all the way going.
Yeah.
To the tail.
At first, I was kind of like, I feel like there should be some more structural stuff attached to the tail wheel.
Believe me, it's tough stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it works because.
Works fine.
Yeah.
So let's see. Gross weight 1,320 pounds. That's good. Empty 820, 500 pounds.
So we're doing the Titan, so we'd be looking at these numbers. But yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Empty weight is a little heavier
because of the motor. Yeah.
Because of the motor. Mm-hmm.
Here it talks about the dual spar design, the D-shaped extruded spar. It made sense to me. I thought it was pretty cool. And we went out to the open house and the rudder build workshop out in Hayes, Kansas, and Randy was explaining the not compromises, but the complexity to get that to the level that they wanted.
Oh yeah.
To have that extruded and not and be within tolerances and the long lengths and stuff. But
takes a lot of engineering to figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh, so the lift struts are square and then streamlined tubing on the top.
I got them over here. I haven't opened them up yet, but yeah, you're correct. Like an airfoil shaped around a square tube. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that's pretty cool.
Extruded. Yeah.
Another thing that we don't have them here, it's at my friend's house, is the landing gear as it comes down has a little cutout in the back for the brake line that it just snaps into. It's just so clean and so smooth looking. It was really little things like that I was just impressed with. And so far everybody's been given the few planes that are flying have gotten great reviews. People seem to love them. So for
that's a nice shot.
Yeah. So here you can see the way the truss ties in.
Yep.
I don't know. I put the torque seal on, probably on places that I don't need it. Like these still obviously need to be tightened, but the everything that has torque seal on it, I torque, even though this was.
Yeah, you probably have inspection panels.
We do,
right,
but
yep.
The issue.
Yeah, you do.
Look at where the other end of the bolt is. It's inside here.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And even when this is wide open, to get your hand or a tool in there was quite a challenge.
That's why it's a very good idea to put torque seal on the top of the bolt.
That was my thinking. At least I can see through there, and at least I know if it moves.
If it moves,
yep,
you got a problem.
Yeah, that was my thinking behind it.
Let's see, can you get in there?
It's hard.
It's hard.
So
and the skin will be down already.
Yeah, you'd actually need to get level. And then I found, like, turning my body this way, which seems, so it was a little bit lower. But reaching in that way, I was actually able to reach it, because this way my arms just would not turn.
Yeah.
And my other daughter was around too, who has smaller hands at the time, and she was helping me get the nuts started.
Yeah, usually they will put inspection panels anywhere where, if you ever have to, you can get in. It may be difficult, but you can get in there to repair something.
Yeah. I jokingly said, because I cut the landing light here, I'm like, how about we just put the landing light in the center so I can get it the other end? It was a joke, but yeah, I cut that out for the landing light. So this basically just gets riveted to there on the inside.
That's good.
Yeah. Riveting technique looks okay.
Yeah, it does.
I followed up on how they should sit in there and deburr everything, and
especially on all kinds of rivets, and especially with pulled rivet, it's very important to deburr the holes, because pulled rivets don't have the same kind of strength against the hole.
Okay,
that a solid rivet does.
Okay.
And if you've got a burr, that rivet will become loose very quickly, but it looks like you're doing a nice job there.
Oh, thank you. And these countersinks look okay for that? I mean, I already did the top and it seems to fit really nice, so.
Let's see. Oh yeah, you've got plenty of meat in there.
I mean, I have a micro stop, and then I took a piece of aluminum on this side so it doesn't teeter off of this recessed lip.
Yeah.
And I started low and then kept going deeper until this sits nice and flush once it's down on there, and then kind of left it at that. And just
let's take a look.
Yeah, pull those out.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah, my point was that this has a slight edge on it. They have this little edge forming tool that they, you know, make you bend down, and then just want the whole thing to sit in there.
So on this one, which way are you going to do your riveting? From there, this way?
They.
Or that way?
I'm gonna. I haven't drilled that side yet, so they say to start on this side and work that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, do you think I should go against what they say and start in the middle, like on these stringers? And
in this case, when you do these,
yeah,
do it like here, 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 there.
Okay, and then
Just spread
fill
it
them
out.
in. Okay.
And as you're doing this one, you can do like here,
Mm-hmm.
and then there, and then here, and then there, and then here, and that way, again, you're spreading the load out, and you won't have this. You'll have some oil canning,
Yeah.
but it won't be bad. One of the things that I did with my aircraft was I used a light bulb, 100-watt light bulb, and warmed the skin so that it stretched a little bit,
Uh-huh.
and then riveted, and then went to the next panel and did that.
And then when it shrunk
And
tight?
It doesn't actually shrink, but there's no oil canning.
Interesting.
It's really interesting. It really is.
Huh. One of the thoughts that I was pondering is these ribs, again, first time builder, when you look at the ribs, it's just a flimsy piece of tin foil, you know, has no structural strength at all. So I thought that maybe I overdid it in fluting because I was trying to get them flat,
Yeah.
completely flat,
Yeah.
being a bit OCD. And I eventually realized I was never going to get there. So then I was like, well, maybe I over fluted them, you know, pulling them together too much. But I mean, then obviously this side would buckle somehow. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's the case because they did lay as flat as I could get them.
Yeah, the only thing the fluting does is when they built it, it probably went like this.
Yep, exactly.
And then as you flute it, it comes down. Actually, the least amount of flutes is what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
Not fluting everything.
Yep.
Only enough to get it flat.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I probably did too much fluting because they were twisted and I was just trying to get them to lay straight.
Yeah.
But I think in reality, all you need them is to be able to get the holes to line up. You know, because these holes are already all pre.
Well, like what I always say is get a piece of glass.
Yep.
Because glass is nice and flat.
Okay.
And you put the rib on the glass and you look. And you can see where it lifts off the glass.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got fluting locations, right? It's always between rivets.
Yep.
And you look at it and say, well, let's see, where am I going to flute? So you flute and you actually watch it go
Yep.
like this. And then you go, let's see, here we are. All right, so we'll flute over here and it lays down. Sometimes, depending upon the rib and when it was formed, you might use 3 flutes. Other times you might use 9. You know, it just depends on the rib.
These ones were actually not so bad with the centers cut out, but the two inside ones where the gas tank goes, I couldn't get them flat to save my life.
Ah.
But I was able to reach them and they fit okay.
Yeah.
And that side actually doesn't buckle.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
These ones here, I guess I do have a little bit there. Well, actually, I haven't these on riveted yet either. But these things here, to get these straight, I mean they're straight now because they're held in place. But if you take them out, they're still kind of warped.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that'll happen. And
yeah, I'll have the same thing there.
yeah, in this case, you may want to try doing these. You know, take all those out, and then try doing like this one
And stretch it out, yeah.
Stretch it a little bit and do that one, and do that one down there, and see what happens.
Yeah. But as far as a structural, or I don't know, is it just an aesthetic thing, or
It's
is
just
it?
an aesthetic thing.
Oh, it is. Okay, then I'm fine.
Yeah, it's just aesthetic.
As long as it doesn't create, I don't know,
No.
stress points or anything.
No,
down
it
the road.
won't. It won't do that. It's just that, you know, instead of looking really smooth, you might see a little bit of a big deal.
Yeah, that was interesting. That's the one of the rivets is recessed on that, because I guess when it mounts to the plane, there's a piece that goes in there, mates up with it.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes you have to read a couple of chapters ahead to figure out why the hell you do what you're supposed to do.
Oh, I know it.
What kind of plane did you build?
I built an RV-8.
Oh, nice. Actually, RV-12 was the one that I had my eyes on. It was primarily a build time thing. I think I was rated like 800 hours.
Yeah.
And then I was flying a light sport at the time, Piper Sport. And I kind of grew that already before I started building. And somebody had said, you know what, build the plane that you want, not the one that you, for convenience or whatever. And I love the RV-12. I suppose the plane that I would want would be the RV-10. You know, take the family around, but
Yeah, I'm gonna go visit an RV-10 project next week.
Oh, really? The one up in New Hampshire, the guy? I think we had a get together up there. Yeah, younger guy. Yeah, I have some pictures of his work. Yeah, this is
Your safety wiring looks good.
Oh, does it? That was actually one of my very important questions to you, because
That's good.
there's not a lot of stuff but never safety wired, so glad to hear that. Thank you. Yeah, this is just so cool the way they built this, the billet, and the bearings just fit in really nicely.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen them rated.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I thought
that one's loose.
Huh? Oh, none of the nuts are tight, because that's going to be adjusted once the aileron goes on. Yeah, right. I basically just put them in far enough so they don't spin out. Is this acceptable? Putting the hole here?
Yes.
And I'm only kind of copying what I've seen other people do.
No,
so
that's
yeah,
fine.
okay, good. And then is this acceptable?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. They want you to put electrical tape around it, and I just thought the grommet gave it a nicer fit. Electrical tape gets all gluey. Okay. And then
grommet will be. You'll never work through the grommet from vibration. You can work through electrical tape.
Yeah. So okay, that's good.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I think it's plastic sheathing on it.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Never seen it before. What other questions did I have? I felt like I had a million questions. Oh, and these fit pretty tight, but I used, and it's per RANS, I guess I said it was okay, the green. The
green Loctite.
Yeah, yep. I just put a dab on it.
Yep.
I used to have wire ties through them just because I didn't want to lose any.
Yep. No, it's stuff to use.
Okay. Good.
Absolutely.
There we go. And what is the best way for? There probably is just the labor-intensive way of getting the rivets. You know, the protruding studs. Just sand them down, right?
Just
there's no
with your angle grinder.
Yeah, I use
Go in there
I use that
and find
the Dremel thing that I was just showing you. It
Yep.
seemed to work pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I've had a couple of builders, because I always look in the rivets that they saw it protruded, so they pushed it out, and I said,
That's bad.
that's bad.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that because I had one or two, and they were the stainless steel rivets.
Yeah.
Where that pushed out, I ended up replacing them.
Yeah.
What the hell was it on this one?
Yeah, because all the shear strength is in the piece that's left in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was on the rear Z-spar. And are you familiar with the electric riveter? The Milwaukee, this guy? You use one of these?
I've used a pneumatic one. It's
So
probably
I
the
have a
same
pneumatic one, and everybody was like, oh, how great is this? So obviously always in the market for new tools, I bought this, but this goes slow.
Uh-huh.
And the rivets that I had troubles with was from this one. So I was almost wondering if the speed of it made a difference or not. And since then I actually stopped using this, even though it was a lot more money. I just used the pneumatic one. So
Right.
It's quicker, and you know, it's a little more with the hose cumbersome, but I never had a problem with the stainless steel rivet shaft pulling out
Right.
with this one. Just that one.
Mm.
And I was on one of the
No, I like
forums.
these.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, my arm hurts after a while. You know, and I did the first top skin, I did the whole skin.
In one evening?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I couldn't move my arm for about 2 weeks,
I'll bet.
I was kind of dreading doing this one. And being tall, I built the bench at 36 inches, and by the time you put it on the stand, and by the time you put the wing on top of it, it's almost too tall. Actually, drilling those holes, I was using milk crates to bring it back down. But for the rest of the build, it was great.
So the leading edge is extruded as well.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. But it makes for, my understanding is, and you probably know better than me, forming that aluminum skin on the leading edge is one of the hardest things to do, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, I think, was their reasoning for, you know, just
Yeah,
extruding a little bit out there and mounting it flush to it.
Most aircraft, the skin will actually start here somewhere
Mm-hmm.
and wrap all the way around to here somewhere.
Wow.
And you've got to push that skin down so that it forms right around the leading edge of the rib. And
So do you pre-bend it, or do you just kind of form it?
They are pre-formed. Most
Uh-huh.
of the manufacturers will pre-form that leading edge,
Oh, okay.
but you still got to pull it down
And get it tight.
and get it tight. I thought I was going to break my wing. I mean, I had straps all the way down the wing, and you know the straps with the
Yep.
the ratchets, and then you ratchet, and I was waiting for the rear spar to just
To snap.
snap, and it didn't.
Wow. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, you can take your Dremel in. See all this here?
Yep.
Just smooth that out.
Yeah. No, that's a good
would
point.
do
I mean,
that. And then round it right here at the
yeah.
edge. Round it
Funny
here.
because in the automotive world, when I build stuff, I would do that without even thinking. I think I'm too stuck on following the instructions. But no, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll go over all the.
wherever you can. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want to take it apart. It's too
Yeah.
late. But wherever you can, try to round things off. See, that's rounded. That's good right there.
Yeah, I did that because I had to cut this out.
Yeah.
I had to cut that out to match that, so I just did a little uni bit here and just finished it all.
Yeah. So you did a nice job, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
One of the questions I had, we're going to use the Garmin Pitot tubes. I bought this Grentz mount, and obviously this calls for just a standard tube coming out. This has an angle of attack indicator as well. So that's for an RV of some sort. You're supposed to put it between the spars, but people have been using this. So I bought a piece of 6061 aluminum. This is obviously going on the left wing over there, and I'm not quite there yet. I'm
So you're gonna make a doubler out of this?
Yeah, that was my idea, and I
Yeah.
was going to, it's kind of following somebody else online, I was gonna, so let's see, strut, I think it ends up, yeah, right about here where the Pitot tube is. Probably on this one, just make an L that comes out of it, or
Don't bother.
sandwich it.
Don't bother.
Don't what?
Don't bother. Make a double like this,
Uh-huh,
right? And put it right on the skin.
and that'll be strong enough?
That'll be strong enough.
Oh, okay, so it doesn't need to be attached to a rib?
No,
Oh, interesting, okay. Alright, well, that's easy.
just on the skin.
So basically just copy that.
Yep. Just make it so that it follows and it's parallel with the, I assume that the leading edge, that there's no
Ben? No.
there's no taper, that the leading edge is perpendicular to the fuselage.
Correct.
So then, just make it so that it's following the rib, so that it's not misaligned in the airstream.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But put it right in, and usually you put it about here.
Yeah, that sounds about right. There's an inspection plate here somewhere, so. See on that one, probably.
Let's see. It's
Oh,
just
sorry.
outside.
So that one has, nope. Yeah, it has the same inspection plates. So the strut is here. So yeah, I guess it would be probably
Yeah,
around
so
here
normally
somewhere.
it would be, let's see, about there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about right. And you may have an inspection plate.
I was just looking, the other skin's over here, it doesn't have one. Talking about the Pitot tube. But this is the tie down cutout, and these are the two inspection plates for the truss. That's where the strut comes out. And yeah, you'd almost expect an inspection plate to be there.
What you can do is, all right, so what you can, yeah, that's all right. Because you want to be able to get at it for maintenance. So, put it there.
Reach through the rib there? Okay.
Yeah.
You
That
see
way,
enough?
because your Pitot tube
Yep.
is going to connect up to the Pitot tube, wherever
Yep.
it is.
Well, it's in the box
And
over there.
it's going to screw in here.
Yep. And then it
your
has,
Pitot tube is going to come up through here.
yep.
Just make enough of a service loop so that if you have to maintain it, you can unscrew it and draw it out this way.
Okay.
You're going to have it heated?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Okay. So again, in the other one, you're going to put it in the other wing.
Yeah.
Just make sure you got enough of a service loop so that if you have to do any maintenance on the Pitot tube, you can pull it out this way.
Mm-hmm.
You can disconnect, reconnect, and put it back in again.
Okay, easy enough.
But yeah, so your doubler.
So do they
Doubler
generally
looks like
just
that.
run the wires and the hoses? I'll show you the tube. So obviously we have this
Oh,
that goes
okay.
into that. So we cut
Oh,
these,
wow,
obviously,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And then do you run them straight in, or do they bend them at a 90 degree and then have the fit?
No, you want it so
So you can pull it
want
out with the tubes.
Yeah, you want it so that if you have to maintain it, you don't have to go into the wing. So enough so
So you
that
just pull it out. Okay, easy enough.
you got it in here,
Yep.
and you want to, you need to, something doesn't work and you want to check it. Well, that you can unscrew this and you can pull this out and then disconnect it.
Okay. So basically those tubes are
Working.
going to get cut real short, just a couple of inches
Yeah.
extra.
A couple inches extra.
Yep.
Because your actual
Tube's going to
tubes
go
are
right
gonna
on
come up on here.
Okay. That makes sense. And how big, the doubler plate that I'm going to make out of that piece of, how much should it, you were pointing earlier, it looked like a couple of inches around each side. Should I make it this size or bigger?
You can make it. that's
2
all.
inches? 2 inches front and
Yeah.
back, and inch and a half on the sides.
Yep.
Okay.
And you'll rivet like this.
Yep. All the way around.
Right.
All right.
And then a hole in here where your lines go.
Yep.
And then screw it right through the skin. So the other side of this should have nut plates.
It comes with the kit. Yep. Actually, the Gretz mount, the
Yeah.
box that I opened before,
Yeah.
has it in there.
So then you rivet this in,
Yep.
and so this will be underneath,
Okay.
and then this has got nut plates on it,
Yep.
and that's where this screws in.
Okay, so ultimately it doesn't need to be attached to the rib. That makes it a lot easier.
Right, doesn't have to be attached to the rib.
Okay. And round the corners.
And then this doubler, make sure it's nice and round,
Yep.
because when you do skin on skin, if you've got a sharp edge like that, it will begin to fatigue the skin that it's on.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that that's nice and round.
So when we say nice and round, like a 1/2 inch radius?
Yeah, I would go like that.
Yep.
And then all of these have to be round.
Yep.
Make sure that there's no sharp edges when you put your double around.
All right.
And it'll last forever.
Okay. That's good to hear. On the Pitot tubing, so I have the angle of attack and the Pitot tubing, two
Yep.
Teflon tubes. The wire for the heating element, I ran with the tube. That's okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't.
Doesn't care.
Okay.
Tube's
Yeah.
don't care.
I didn't know. I don't know if the heating element shorts out. I know it would blow the circuit breaker before things go wrong, and it melts the tubing. If that was like an FAA no or whatever, I don't know. But
Well, what you're going to have is you're going to have the tubing here, right? You're going to have your other tubing, and then this you're going to have a phenolic connector,
yep.
and it's guarded and shielded, so shouldn't be any problems.
Okay.
And you're going to use aircraft grade wiring.
Yeah, it's in there. So you can see the wiring. This is for the strobe lights and the landing light.
Yep.
And this is what I was talking about. I called Stein, and I mean, I do car wiring, so but they actually made me that harness. I was like, oh, okay.
Yep. Okay.
Probably paid a lot for it.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, it's one of the things that this is where I kind of ran them together. They seem pretty knowledgeable and pretty friendly, and like, yeah, we'll get you this. And then I haven't quite tackled this yet. I got 20 feet, I think, of each, but I guess it's not uncommon to put a junction right at the wing connector. Like, you don't need,
The point of failure.
the junction? That's what I thought.
So in my aircraft, my wires that go out to the wing go all the way to the device, switch,
Yep.
and the circuit breaker.
Yeah, I like that way of
How
thinking.
many times are you going to take your wing off?
No, I know. Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So,
Okay, so keep them. Yeah, that's why they're all bundled up in
Right.
here.
Yep. All the way through to their destination.
Okay.
You'll never have a problem with corrosion because of connectors corroded out in the wing.
All right. Good to hear. I think that was the questions I had.
I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty. I love the design of it.
I see what the pink line is for the flaps, for the hollow type flaps. Semi-hollow. I mean, they move out like that.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, they're not just hinged.
Yeah, the ailerons kind of just pivot, and
Right.
these will actually.
So basically, we went
The
over
ailerons
and
obviously will
looked
also
at
go
the elevator, the ailerons, the flaps,
Well, they should, yeah.
kind of discussed all the same stuff. I didn't bring the camera over,
I'll look at 'em.
Yeah.
so the audio wasn't all that great. And later on, we ended up going around the corner to the left where the rudder is, and looked at that as well. And I cut the rest of it out because there was nothing to see, and the conversation didn't really contain a whole lot of useful information. He didn't find anything wrong. This is the part where he had asked me about the trim servo wiring. I didn't have an answer for. That was kind of interesting because it has a horizontal stabilizer that's fixed to the plane, and the elevator that moves, and then the trim tab that moves, and the servo is actually inside the elevator. He was asking how does the wiring get routed in there for the electronic servo. I have the servo, I have the wiring, but wasn't really going to do that until it's painted and or installed onto the plane. And it felt kind of silly not having an answer for that, but I didn't read anything in the manual yet, and I'm sure it'll come up. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that.
Delegate the hardware to where it belongs. I left it
Good idea.
Yeah. That's the elevator there. Horizontal stabilizer. This was actually the second thing I built. The rudder, which I'll show you, is over in the corner, was the first thing. Yeah, so this is I have pins in the side here. Let me see. Yeah, you don't have to. Just to keep it from pivoting, I just stuck these things in there. But there'll be weight that's poured inside here with epoxy and lead shot.
Oh, is that how they do?
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll flip it over. Hole in the bottom there.
Oh, right there.
Yeah. So, towards the front, exactly. Yeah, you fill that up with a certain amount of lead shot. You do it after it's painted. That's what it was, because the paint obviously affects it. And then you balance it that way. And then you,
yes, paint, definitely.
With lead shot and some epoxy.
All right. So the big takeaway from tonight's technical consultant, EAA Chapter 106, Bob DeMeo, very helpful. First thing he pointed out in the video, I'm not sure how clear it all came out, so I'm just doing a quick recap, is that any of these machined edges, if you can run your hand up it and it kind of gets caught like a sharp edge, that should be sanded down either with emery cloth or Scotch-Brite wheel or something along those lines. So some of the things he was talking about is here. Obviously that's going to be hard for me to redo. So I'm accessing these corners here. I found it funny. He complimented how these corners here, because they're rounded, are perfect, exactly the way it should be. And ironically enough, those are the ones that I actually cut out because I wanted to retain this little piece of metal where the linkage comes through. So I'll take that as a compliment. But all in all, he said it looks really, really good. My safety wiring is good. That was a concern that I had. Obviously using aviation grade electrical wiring in there was good. He was quick to point out that the nuts weren't tight. I'm like, well, I'm not going to tighten any of that until the control surfaces are on and adjust it. Rivets. If you do have a rivet, I had a few of the stainless steel ones that I was pulling with the electric Milwaukee, where it actually pulled the shaft out or fell in, what have you. No good. If the shaft is out, that ruins the shear strength of the rivet and needs to be replaced. I had it happen on 2, and I did replace them, so that was good. And trying to think. Another question I had was if this was okay to do, meaning drilling the hole into this thin part of the
rib, and it is, and wrapping it around the grommet like this. He said that was awesome. And running the wire for the pitot heat, the heated pitot tube, along with the pitot lines is fine as well. And one question that I had, and this kind of bothered me and demotivated me, is the oil canning, as they call it, that I have. And ultimately, RANS tells you to start at one end, in this case in the front, and then rivet all the way back across the skin and push in between as you insert the next rivet, remove the cleco and put the rivet in. Well, I did that, and I still ended up with a little bit of pillowing. Bob said that this is strictly an aesthetic thing, and to mitigate it, you can actually start in the middle and then put a rivet here, and then between them again, and work your way that way. So I'm going to try that a little bit on the bottom skin. I'm not sure if I'll have any pillowing there, but the Garmin Pitot tube, I was asking about that, and what we're going to do there is cut this very, very short. I bought some 6061 aluminum. I'm going to make a plate out of. Basically said 2 inches, maybe 1.5 inches on either side, and mount it just between 2 ribs, enough to allow access through one of these access panels if you need to get on the inside. But ultimately, we're using this Gretz mount, and we're going to cut these tubes just, sorry, can't see with both hands here, long enough that they'll pull out, and the Teflon tubes will come with it. Obviously, I'm on the right wing. This is all going to be on the left wing. But these are just upcoming questions that I had. And I think that pretty much sums it up. He did look at my rudder. The horizontal stabilizer. And one of the questions he had, it's on the other side, but how do you get the wire in for the trim servo? And I did not have an answer for that. If I read it somewhere, I forgot it. And if I haven't read it, then I haven't read it yet. But trim servo is in the elevator. The trim servo obviously adjusts the trim tab. But how does the wiring get from the horizontal stabilizer into the elevator? I'm sure there's a reasonably simple explanation for it. I just didn't have an answer for him. But other than that, he said everything looked great. He was very impressed with the kit. I think he was most impressed with, he's a RANS RV8 builder, and a Vans RV8 builder, and he was really intrigued by the double spar with the truss setup, which is kind of unique. Not unique to this aircraft, but unique to airplane design. And yeah, he spent a lot of time just admiring how it all comes together, but I think he liked it. Said it looked like I was doing a good job, so pretty motivated. And yeah, time to finish the bottom skin. I don't think I'm going to do it tonight because it's getting kind of late. And once I get started, I have trouble stopping, so I'm not even going to start. We'll do that tomorrow. See ya.